one of the most colorful cultures in the world. We are, period. I have seen food around the globe, not saying that it's bad, it is just different. And I feel what we present in terms of a perspective is a flavor burst, is what we give. Every bite, you eat anything. So my earliest memory with food is actually kind of sitting by my grandmom on the patla while she's rolling out rotis and making rotis. And I think when you kind of behave yourself, you always get one of these rotis as a, reward for sitting down, right, with good and ghee. I guess watching my mom day in and day out, kind of cooking for us, providing for the family, the way she would come up with things. It's a very different kind of background that I grew up in. I was a Bori Muslim in Chennai, and it was really different, right, how Bori food got influenced by southern influences. So watching my mom do that and provide for us was really cool. Most of the influences that I've had growing up have kind of, influenced the way I cook today. A lot of my food and a lot of the food that we do over here is based on a sense of very deep nostalgia of what we remember from what we ate growing up. So all of that, kind of the use of curry leaves, the use of tamarind, the excessive use of kokam, or the way you make a biryani at home and stuff like that is kind of complements each other, and it's adapted into the style that I do today. I was at a point in time where I wanted to do something really relevant with food. I wanted to go back to the grind and, kind of pay my dues. And that made it important for me to, go to New York, experience different cultures, experience different ideas, get inspired, learn a few new things, and then obviously come back to Bombay all over again. I think it was a really impactful journey for me at New York when I was at 11 Madison Park. EMP taught me a lot in terms of the levels to which I could actually push myself to. I didn't know any boundaries. Then is where I realized my boundaries were. I got a lesson in precision, a lot more. Attention to detail was another level because, you go into a restaurant that is on the top of the list, that is doing 110 covers every night, which is so precise, so well orchestrated. You really want to go in and give your best, so it was A game every day. So attention to details is something that kitchen really taught me. New York has bountiful produce. It's a great destination to be cooking at, and I think every young cook in their journey has to kind of stop over at these kitchens to understand what food really means to them. I did the ATP World Tour with him in California. Yes, I did that gig for close to 14 days. I don't know why. I didn't do it for longer than that. We went in and obviously it came as, you have this set perception about what a big person that he is and the kind of, the aura that is around him, that surrounds him is really huge when you hear those names. But at the core of it, he's a really humble person. Yes, we were cooking day in and day out, all 3 meals for him. But he was the chillest person. He would get us front row seats to all his games. It's a great time. He was staying in Sylvester Stallone's house. I don't know what else you want. One thing that he really used to do was eat spaghetti made by his mom before his game every game. His mom would come, she would be like, you guys don't do it, I have to make spaghetti for him. So he would basically carb load before his game, but only his mom would make it. I was at a point in my career where I was seeing that there was so much happening in the world over, but there was not much being done in the Indian food space with what was happening. And I felt that there is a possibility to do something really relevant. And I met Chef Floyd around that time, and it was thought-provoking The vision that he had for what Indian food was, he did something path-breaking 10 years ago, way ahead of his times at Tabla. I mean, that took Indian food to a whole new level. And then you meet that person, you understand their ethos, you believe in their vision, and I was like, well, got to do it. There is no thought after that in your hand. When I moved back from EMP, I was really sound in technique. I had technique by my side. I obviously knew how to cook. I just didn't know if I had the right kind of background in Indian food. We've eaten these flavors all our life, and having Chef Floyd like as the GPS on this journey was the best part for me, right? Like he was the guiding path. He's like, the destination is yours. I'm here to guide. And that was like the most beautiful thing of it. So zero emotional connect. Just breaking it down massively, looking at it outside the box and be like, ha, isko aise and that this. So it was a possibility for us to do whatever we wanted at that point. The canvas was blank. Maybe if Daniel Humm taught me how to cook, Chef Floyd taught me how to be a good chef. So, and the transition was massive for me. Oh Pedro, yes, is my baby. It is something that I'm very, 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 very attached to and very proud of. On a very emotional level also, let alone just professional. It's your first restaurant and you have that connect with that first restaurant. You've seen it go from brick and mortar to that life in it today, right? Like your team, your everything that you've built. And it's crazy to see how it comes together. Yes, the idea was to have a fun experience. The idea was to make it everyone's happy place. You should always be up for a challenge. I really knew nothing about Goan food beyond Shakuti and Vindaloo when I started. That was an opportunity again. That was the greatest opportunity for me to learn something about a cuisine that is so different from any other cuisine in the country. Like Goan food stands out. The way they cook, the techniques they do, the flavors they imbibe. Well, also because of the kind of influences they have, the colonizers, the history, the culture. And it was not just Goa. I didn't research only Goa. We did an entire detailed trip to Portugal just to understand what colonization did to Goa or how the Portuguese influenced the food that we cook today or eat today in Goa. I worked in restaurants in Portugal, I worked in restaurants in Goa, worked with the bread bakers, kind of understand the art of making poi, understand, why a Shakuti is a Shakuti and why a Vindaloo is a Vindaloo. Or what is the difference between a Goan Vindaloo and what is the difference between the aloo in Portugal, and how did that translate into being this? Or what is a chorizo and what is a chorizo? So all of those things, right? Travel always inspires. Like for a chef, for a person who's very creative, it could be any field, right? If you're a craftsman and you travel, it opens up your mind to different ideas. Or just collaborating with your peers at different parts of the world also kind of influences what you do and how you do. Because you learn, you pick up a few things here and there everywhere, And that is the whole idea for anywhere I travel. I mean, I've been to like different countries and different places to do pop-ups or just personal holidays. I've spent time in Copenhagen just working in different kitchens just to understand what they do differently and what is it that we can imbibe from them to bring back and, implement. And I think those influences, it's not just the food, it's the practices, it's the way people treat people, it is the way they, what they do for their team members, what they do for their crew, how they clean a kitchen, how they clean the sink, how they save water, for example. I mean, there's a massive idea of sustainability, but that word has just been thrown around so much. But the true sense of it, you understand when you actually go to places that actually practice it. Imbibing what people you're working alongside or what cultures you're exposed to, how is that making people feel? What is it that they're doing in a particular way? So I think bringing those things back to me matters more. Yes! See, the most of the cooking that we do over here at both these places and the way I generally love to really cook is based on technique. It's very technique driven. And then we obviously look at a lot more flavor profiling than working off mainstream recipes. The idea is to dig deeper into how flavor can be maximized as opposed to, following something that's been written down on a piece of paper. Because the idea of authenticity doesn't really exist in my head. Or maybe I just don't know what authentic is. मेरे को नहीं पता. The lack of that makes me maximize on this. And I feel that's the way we love to cook. Tu chaat kha le, you get a kebab, you get anything. Dude, we've been influenced by so many influences, maybe the Mughals, the Portuguese, the Dutch, I mean, we've been bombarded with all of that, even the British, for example. And those influences have just, shaped up our cuisine to be what it is today. And the idea is to take what we've been given, break it down with respect, all right? Not for the reason of breaking it down, right? Like, don't break it down to be gimmicky. Break it down with respect. So take your traditions, break it with respect, and then present it with a contemporary perspective. The perspective that deserves to be shown. And I feel that is why we need to take our food global. Not to show off that we're great, but because it deserves a place out there. There are techniques that a chaatwala on a bhandar has that is on par with something that is done in a 3-Michelin star kitchen. There is a soul there. And that soul needs to translate. For me, that is more important. Even if it means hing ka pani chidakna like that, there's a reason. Wo kar raha hai, but there's a reason. See, the culinary landscape of the country has really changed. City has changed, the dialogue around food has really changed. So which also means that the perception of chefs has changed. I feel it is more relevant. It's a great shift in my opinion. I feel Indian hospitality is rooted in our culture. I wouldn't change anything about it. We've given the world the idea of treating guests as God. Beyond that, तुम कुछ नहीं change कर पाओगे उसमें. Like, it is inherent in all of us. Even if people walk into our homes or people walk into our restaurants or wherever they do, we are really hospitable people. We are the most generous, giving, set of people that really welcome people with open wide arms. For me, I think the best collaboration in personal growth and showcasing what we do at both the restaurants was when we did a pop-up at Intersect in New York. So we did a residency there. We were the 4th restaurant in residence, and it was a smashing experience. Again, because only for me, going back to New York meant a lot. Like, I was a cook in New York, I learned the chops in New York, and then I went back with our Indian food to kind of showcase that at that level, and that meant a lot to me. So that was one of my bestest experiences. See, the biggest influence in my life has been my mom, and there's a lot that I owe to her for being who I am. Perseverance, courage, just being strong mentally and both physically is something that she's imbibed in us from the very beginning. And I feel that just sets the pace for everything that you do in life, right? If you're determined towards a goal, abhi aur kaun rok sakta hai kind of situation, right? And there have been other influences on people that I've read. I wouldn't know them personally, but there's so many inspiring stories out there that you kind of read. Growing up, obviously, as a young kid in India, when I was really wanting to get into food, I would read about Gordon Ramsay and stuff like that, because he was the most celebrated chef out there back in the day when we were growing up. And that's the honest truth about what it is. Or Marco Pierre White, his first book, White Heat, that was his book that I read. I was like, wow, is this what kitchens are all about? I want to do this. No, that was not the reason, but honestly, those were influences for us. When I'm really not in the kitchen, when I'm not cooking, I find myself either reading different kinds of biographies of people that have made it, and the people I'd really love to emulate, maybe listening to a bunch of podcasts and stuff like that. Or you see me working out at the gym, because I've just started this whole idea of kind of lifting and stuff, so it's mental. But yeah, those are pretty much the things that I do when I'm outside the kitchen. I honestly believe a food superstar is somebody who actually does justice to the plate in terms of what they're putting on a plate. It's not the end product that matters what is on a plate, it is the process that it took, or the journey that it took to come onto the plate, which plays a massive role as well. So somebody who can knack that and somebody who can do justice to every step of the process, to me, becomes a food hero or a superstar. See, I'll be very honest with you. I feel, yes, there are a lot of chefs venturing out on their own, and I feel everyone's entitled to their own journey. I feel that journey is really personal to them, to see what it is. For me, what it would be next is something that everyone will have to watch out for, because, not that I don't know, it's just going to be more bigger, exciting things on the plate. And yeah, I think everyone has to keep their eyes peeled to see what's happening.